Right. So we are live now, but I'm just going to wait for a few seconds so that our audience can join in. How are you today, Siddharth?
Absolutely fine, Ishmi.
Excited for the interview ahead?
Sure.
Great. I'm really excited to talk about both your books today. And I think we can start now. I think audience will join in as and when. So, hi
Okay.
everyone who's present here. Today we are here to talk about Siddharth Kanatal's books, Maina Flies, Volume 1 and 2. So, we're talking about both the books today. And we're going to have a conversation over a period of a half an hour or something like that. Let's see where the conversation takes us. And so to start with that, I would like Siddharth, you to introduce yourself and your books.
Yeah, well, I am Siddharth Kanatil. I am the author of the novel series Maina Flies, and I am a banking professional based out of Bangalore, and I've been writing for the last few years. So I started off with short stories and poems and such, and Maina Flies is my first attempt at writing novels.
Okay, I see. So I mean I feel like it's a great attempt if it's your first attempt at writing novels. Did not know that. We will get into your history with writing in a while, but like let's start with the books itself. So the book is what I've come to understand is an historical fiction. It is inspired by the colonial times, right? About the trading business going on between the East India Company and how they would come to the Orient and they would trade for spices and textiles and other things. So, what exactly motivated you to write about this particular book?
Well, Ishvi, I would say my love for this particular time period,
Mm-hmm.
the mid-Victorian era was a very happening time. That is when, as you correctly said, the
Mm-hmm.
Europeans came and started doing business in the
Mm-hmm.
Orient in a big way. And they
Right.
settled, yeah, made colonies and settled in large numbers in India and China. And the, there were a whole world of new opportunities that opened up for these societies. And
Mm-hmm.
Indians, for the first time in their millions, traveled all over the world for work.
Mm-hmm.
And it was a time of great change in society, irreversible change, and it was a very happening time, all over.
Mm-hmm.
So that is what really interested me in
Mm-hmm.
this time period. And when I started researching this time period out of my own interest, the idea for a plot gradually came up.
Mm-hmm. I see. So, like you rightly pointed out, this entire period is a long period, and there's just so much going on. But what I particularly liked about this book is how you focus specifically on certain voices, certain themes. So, can you elaborate on that? Like, how did you come up with these themes? Why did you think about writing, like, particularly about the trading business?
That was one theme that touched me the most, that, and not to mention, that is one of the defining themes of the era that set
Mm-hmm.
the time for the upcoming industrial revolution in England
Right.
and the rest of the world. So
Okay.
now when we come to the story, we see that it's based on the perspective of the various major players of the era. Now, the
Mm-hmm.
major players of the era were the East India Company, the company officials, the zamindars over here, the
Mm-hmm.
revolutionaries, the French plantation owners over in Mauritius and the Union Islands and the other colonies, and the MPs sitting over in London, and the company
Mm-hmm.
shareholders and such. And the story is explored from all these various angles.
Mm-hmm.
So the reader gets a good idea how life was back in the mid-Victorian era, how things were done, how business was conducted, how revenues were extracted, how people used to travel, and how people used to live, love, die,
Mm-hmm.
fight, and such in that era.
Right, true. I would love to get into the characters of the book, like you rightly pointed out about the, I think is sort of a multi POV sort of a thing going on in the book where we get to see what everyone is doing, and I feel like there are so many characters in there. You've also given a glossary of the characters in the book before the book even starts, which I think is particularly very interesting. But before we get to that, can you tell us about the title of the book? So, what does this title mean, and what importance does it hold to your story?
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the main characters of the book is Ratan Rana, and
Mm-hmm.
the story has a lot to do about Ratan's journey through life, how he evolves into a man through various challenges,
Mhm.
and the bird Maina is connected with this character through a plot twist. So
Right.
a Maina fly seems apt to the story.
Mhm. Okay, well, we're trying to be spoiler free here because we do want our audience to check out your books, right? So I'm not going to get into the Mena part of the plot twist, but I feel like I particularly really liked how the book talks about a ship and in a way about freedom as well. So I particularly really like the title of the book. So regarding the characters, like I said before, there are so many characters in there, and they belong to different countries, different religions, and they have their own motivations. So what was your motivation around this? Like, how did you, like, was it difficult for you to base these stories in history? Are these real people? How were you inspired?
First of all, I'd say I am blessed to live in this era. This is the
Mm-hmm.
age of information. We have all sorts
Mm-hmm.
of information, data, and facts on that
Right.
time period or any time period at our fingertips
Mhm,
through free archives, government archives, and such. The data and facts are all there for those who are
mhm,
interested to dig into it.
mhm,
So it was comparatively easy for me to get data on the sea travel, the sorts of ships used, the life on those ships,
mhm.
and life in Victorian London and in Calcutta,
Right.
in Shah Jahan, Oman.
Mhm,
It was easily available for me, and then the lives back then, the conditions back then were really different from what we are used to now, and
mhm,
that is what interested me even more. And
mhm.
my motivation in writing the story is to get readers more interested in our pre-independence past
Right.
in the 1850s and in how dangerous it is to give power to a corporate entity and to wrong people and to entities with wrong motivations.
Mhm.
So there is much to learn from that time period. That is my motivation in writing.
Okay, I see. So, I mean, you have, like you said, you have written specifically about the 1850s, right? But there's just so much information out there. We are truly blessed to be living in the age of information. But then there's also a lot of information through which you have to like sift through and like, get to particular things. So, how hard is researching when it comes to writing books that are based in history?
It's a challenge to write fiction against a historical background as it is, now
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
suppose if you are writing alternate history, you have the liberty to change the macro events as per your convenience or as per your plot's requirements.
Mm-hmm.
But that is not what I wanted, Ishwi. What I wanted
Mm-hmm.
was the reader to have a real taste of history, real taste of what happened
Right.
back there. So
Okay.
my plots had to be adjusted to accommodate the real macro events. So
Uh-huh.
all the events in the backdrop that you see in the Mina Flies, they are all
Mm-hmm.
real. It's just some aspects of the plots and the characters that are added along as fiction.
I see. So truly historical fiction here we are dealing with, right?
Right.
So how many of these characters can you say are like, inspired, truly inspired by real people in history?
Well, there are characters such as Ratan Rana, his mentor in the future, Maran,
Mm-hmm.
and a few other company officials that are influenced by a few characters I came across while doing my research.
Right.
And
Okay.
then again, they are added with elements of other people I've met through my life and other elements of my own personality. They are a
Mm-hmm.
decent mix of things.
I see. That's quite interesting, actually. It must have been really fun writing it. And I will get into the writing process in a while. But before that, I also wanted to ask you about how much interested have you been in reading, literature from the colonial and the post-colonial times? And how much did that influence you in writing a book about those times?
Historical fiction in general, and especially books on post pre-colonial times,
Mhm.
are how do I say? They are like virtual classes for me, virtual reality classes. Or it's
Mhm.
like stepping into a time machine, going to a world with different moralities, different perspectives, different versions or
Mhm.
opinions on what is right and wrong. And that is
Right.
what makes it so different from what we are used to seeing today.
Mhm.
That is one of the biggest things that interested me to that era. There are
I
a
see.
number of books that I've read, and historical fiction has been one of my favorite genres from a very
Mhm.
early time.
Okay, okay. Well, I'm about to ask you something which can be considered a little controversial, but I did want to have your opinion on this. So, do you think the things that you have talked about, specifically about the trading business and how people in land handle these things, do you think these things were less heard of in these books that you've read before? And is that why you try to amplify these voices?
Well, there are certain books that give more focus on the fictional part of it, and then again,
Mm-hmm.
there are books that gave they that dug deeper into the real happenings. Now, it all
Okay.
depends on the kind of books they are.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all sorts of books out.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I see. And also, I mean, writing about history, I think one of the things that I think can be a slippery slope is attention to detail, right? Because you're writing about times way in the past. So there are always certain things where, some authors slip in details, like how they would what would they eat, how they used to live, or even how they used to speak. And I feel like you have brought in a lot of English slang as well, like the kind of things they talk about the officials in East India Company with each other. So, I mean, how about these things? Like, I truly think that writing historical fiction is a brave challenge because you have to like tackle all these things. So, what are your opinions about that?
As I said, Ishvi, we live in the age of information. I was lucky enough to come across preserved archives, documents, personal journals, and letters written
Mhm.
by people of that time. So
Okay.
both formal and informal. So I got access to the slangs and the general behaviors and how people used to walk, go around,
Mm-hmm.
their behaviors, general behaviors
Mm-hmm.
as such. It's again interesting to look into because there are stark differences between what we do now or the
Yeah.
things we take for granted and the things they used to take for granted.
Yeah, true. And I mean, talking about your research, we should also talking about the writing process. So tell me what the writing process was like for you. How long did it take you to write this book?
It took me around 5 to 6 years to completely finish this book
Okay.
from the day I thought up the plot to the day
Hmm.
I submitted for publication. So it
Right.
was a long process, partly because I work full time as a banking professional.
Mm-hmm.
So the only time for research that I used to get was the time I used to commute to and fro from office. So I
Okay.
would get at least 2.5 to 3 hours in my office
Mm-hmm.
cab to do my research, and the weekends were left for writing
Okay.
and further research. And when you're writing a book, if it's a big book, the research happens throughout.
Mm-hmm.
And the plots and the twists keep changing, influenced by the new items you come across or new
Mm-hmm.
events you come across through research.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's a time taking process, especially when you're working full time.
I see. Because while I was reading both the books, I also realized how much research has gotten into it. Like, I, as a reader, could feel it, all this information that I myself, there were certain things that I didn't know about that I got to know about because of your book. So, I think that was beautiful. And I would also like to praise your writing style, Siddharth. I think because when you specifically write historical fiction, I feel like authors can get a bit wordy with how they are describing, how they are giving information. But I feel like you have been able to do that fabulously well. And I think that's a great fit. But also talking about the writing process, I mean, the fact that you have put in so much time, both in research and writing, definitely means that you've always had a passion for writing. So talk to me about like the things you've written before and how this passion for writing developed for you.
Right. So I started writing back in my school days, Ishvi.
Okay.
So back in school, I used to make friends with all sorts of people from all facets of society because I like to know and observe how all those different people used to carry themselves, how they used to behave and such.
Mm-hmm.
And there used to be a park near my house, and I used to invite all my friends. The guys used to come over there. We used to play cricket, and it was very interesting to see how each of them would behave in the same situation. How each of them would present their opinions to the same
Mm-hmm.
thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like some would just, a couple of boys playing cricket in the park. You can imagine how much excitement there would be.
Mm-hmm.
So some would just scream and shout at the top of their voice to get their point
Mm-hmm.
across, Some
Right.
would just come up and say something subtle and sarcastic. Again, there would be people who smile and just go and do something else and then come back and smile again. That is when we
Mm-hmm.
realize they meant something else and such.
Mm-hmm.
So there are all these different ways of presenting our opinion or
Mm-hmm.
behaving
Mm-hmm.
for the same situation. That is when I realized that I just need to change the combination of character and situation to end up with n number of results in my
Mm-hmm.
plots. So after
Okay.
each day of cricket, I used to go back home. I used to think up plots and introduce one character from the playground to a particular situation, end up with one result, and then
Mm-hmm.
I would introduce another character from the playground and to the same situation, end up with a completely
Mm-hmm.
different result. And that is when I realized for the first time that being an author
Mm.
is a very exciting thing.
Right, right. I see. What you said actually reminded me of something that I had read before, that, when you're a writer, you're observing things as a writer. You're always constantly thinking of plots while something is going on in front of you. And I think your story completely reminds me of that. So yeah, that's beautiful. Like, tell me a bit about the short stories that you talked about that you've written before.
My first short stories were written in class when I used to sit in
Mm-hmm.
school and class, especially after lunch when
Mm-hmm.
all of our classmates would be really sleepy. And I remember there would be a geography class right after lunch break, and
Mm-hmm.
I'd be sitting with my stomach full and really sleepy, and the geography sir would, keep on going about, the right conditions for rice cultivation, wheat cultivation, paddy
Mm-hmm.
cultivation, and such, and what are rift valleys and floodplains and all.
Mm-hmm.
And the only thing I could do to keep myself from falling asleep would be to think up stories of how this teacher might be, banished from school on account of the boring classes, and he'd be forced to live on rice plantations or paddy fields and be forced to rely on his skills on the right condition for rice cultivation and such to survive. And then how
Mm-hmm.
he'd be attacked by a bear and his misery would end and things like that. And I
Mm-hmm.
would write short stories like that and share it with friends and get a few laughs. And that is how my story writing passion began.
Well, I think your geography teacher would be really impressed by the attention of detail that you have in your book. So yeah, I mean, I hope he loves it. So, talking about
I
the
hope
books
so
again.
too.
Yes, right. So talking about the books again, the books are divided in two, like it's a series, right? So it's a duology. So was that a conscious decision, or was the book getting too long? What do you think?
You see, Ishvi, whether, when it comes to my writing or when
Mm-hmm.
it comes to how I present my work, it's all reader centric.
Mm-hmm.
Now, earlier you had mentioned that I don't go for fancy words or other too worldly ideas and such. It's
Mm-hmm.
because I deliberately make my sentences and my ideas as clear and as simple as possible, because those would carry the most, that would carry forth the idea most powerfully is what I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
If you
Yeah.
I want the ideas and the situation to resonate with the reader more, and simple words and easily relatable words are the
Mm-hmm.
best for that, instead of choosing words that only Mr. Shashi Tharoor would understand.
Mm-hmm.
And when it
Right.
comes to presenting the work, presenting the
Mm-hmm.
books, two medium sized books of volume 1 and 2 would have been better than a big fat book in terms of
Mm-hmm.
price and in terms of reading the
Right.
time it takes
Right.
to finish a book. So
Mm-hmm.
on all accounts, I have done things that would make things more convenient for my reader, so it's all
Mm-hmm.
reader centric.
Mm-hmm. True. What you said is very true, Siddharth, because something that I have heard from readers of historical fiction and fantasy is that when words are simple, when there's a lot of information coming in, that is something that readers definitely appreciate in a writing style of the author. So I feel like you achieved it amazingly. So like kudos to you on that. That was beautifully done. Talking about that, what about the publishing process? So like talk us through the publishing process, because I feel like a lot of people are always interested in how to get published, where to even start, how to look for where should I even get published.
Yes, as a new author or as a first time published author,
Mm-hmm.
this was one of the challenges that I faced after
Mm-hmm.
finishing my book.
Right.
So, Minor Flies was published as an ebook last year, but this year I wanted the paperback to come out and I wanted to
Okay.
approach a traditional publisher for that.
Mm-hmm.
So, Now, Ukioto was suggested by one of my friends who's already a published author through Ukioto.
Okay.
And compared to many other interactions that I had with other traditional publishers, I found Ukioto to be extremely prompt with their responses and their services. So what
Right.
happened was I just finished the manuscript and I
Mm-hmm.
sent the manuscript for them to them via email, and it's
Mm-hmm.
just within 1 week that I got a response. And I was surprised with that because most traditional publishing houses take months to get back with a response.
Right,
So
right.
it's just within 1 week that I got a response, and everything that happened was very fast after that. So
Mm-hmm.
within just a space of 1 month or so, the whole editing process and the
Mm-hmm.
cover page and the back cover design and the other things that go into making a book all fell into place, including the ISBNs and all the legal
Mm-hmm.
formalities. Everything was taken care of by Ukioto within a very
Mm-hmm.
short span of time. All their responses to my doubts and queries were very prompt, and I am very happy to be associated with a publisher like Ukioto. And I
Mm-hmm.
would strongly suggest Ukioto with to all my friends out there who'd like to write and get published.
That's great. I feel like for a writer, I mean, the writing process itself can be so difficult. So the publishing process should be, I feel like, in my opinion, should be a bit easier because I mean, otherwise people get too overwhelmed, right? So I'm glad that you've had a good experience with Ukioto, and I'm hoping that you will publish with us again in the future. And talking about that, tell me about your future plans with writing. What can we expect from you next?
Well, the next book would be the third part of A Minor Flies. And
Okay.
beyond that, I have ideas of exploring other genres as well, like thriller, horror, and such.
Oh, that's quite interesting. So, how many books can we expect in the Maina Flies series? What do you think?
Maybe one or two more, depending on
Mm.
the plot and such. The thing is, I am more of a pantser than a plotter. To
Mm-hmm.
those of the viewers who may not be familiar with the terms, a
Mm-hmm.
plotter is a writer or an author who has a whole plot in his or her head before he even starts writing and sticks
Right.
to that plot. And
Mm-hmm.
a pantser is one who comes up with new plot twists as and when writing. So
Mm-hmm.
and so I am more of a pantser. So the length of the next few books or the number of the next few books, the minor series would depend on the plot twists that I come up with during my writing in the next part.
Mm-hmm. I see. So I feel like right now we can expect a lot from you, but it's not quantifiable as
And
such. So that's very exciting in my opinion because I mean particularly am very excited about like a series which has a lot of books. So I am definitely looking forward to what's next in this series. And also
thank
we
you.
have an audience question for you, Siddharth. This person is asking that. Where do you begin when you start researching for a book? Because I think what they mean is that there's just so much information out there. So like what are certain tools that they can go for maybe?
Right. So now I assume that the person has identified a particular genre that is his or her favorite, which
Mm-hmm.
he or she, plans on writing on. I
Mm-hmm.
would just say read and some more, read on some more, read on more books from the genre. Then that would give
Mm-hmm.
you more ideas and insights into the time period as well as the techniques used in that genre.
Mm-hmm.
That would help. That would help the person a direction and an idea and a vision will present itself. It comes naturally. So without
Siddharth,
putting much effort, you have to rely on the process. Yeah.
Siddharth, sorry for interrupting, but the internet was unstable for a while, so I'm gonna have to ask you to repeat that again.
I would just say read and some more on the genre that you plan to write on,
Mm-hmm.
because then you'd be getting more insight on the techniques used in that genre and the time period in general.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, research, there's no particular point that you have to start researching here.
Mm-hmm.
Start researching anything and everything based on that genre in the time period that you have set your mind on.
Mm-hmm.
Slowly, a vision and a plot will present itself to you. You just have to trust it. You don't
Right.
have to force it, it will come to you.
True, true. What I'm understanding here, Siddharth, is that there's no shortcut when it comes to researching and writing a book. It just you have to put in your time for it to come out as you expect it to. So that's amazing. And now that you've given us tips about how to research, I would also ask you to give us and other aspiring authors who must be watching this live some tips on writing and just how to approach writing and publishing all of it.
Writing is one thing. I would say sitting in a room and going on researching and writing is the easiest part of being an author. Finding a publisher, it needs luck to get the right
Mm-hmm.
publisher. And then comes the hardest part, and that is marketing. I mean,
Mm,
even with
true.
the support of a good publisher, good marketing team,
Mm-hmm.
marketing still remains a big challenge, especially for
Mm-hmm.
new authors.
Mm-hmm. Right. So what do you like? What can you say that people can do something different that can sort of put their books out there? What do you think?
I would say, I mean, what I try to do is get more in touch, feel the pulse
Mm-hmm.
of your readers, interact with your readers on various social
Mm-hmm.
media platforms, and get an idea of what aspects of the plots that they liked and what aspects of other books of similar genre
Mm-hmm.
that they liked and such. So you
Mm-hmm.
can understand the readers more. And another very useful avenue of understanding your readers is
Mm-hmm.
book reviews. A book
Mm-hmm.
review is not the same as a movie review, for example,
Mm-hmm.
because
Right.
a movie, when for example, say is we both, you and I, suppose we watch the same movie, then
Right.
both of us would watch the same scene, would watch the same characters walking the same way, wearing the same
Mm-hmm.
outfits and everything. It's all
Mm-hmm.
there for us to see. So in our memory we'll retain the same memories and everything, but in a book,
Mm-hmm.
there is nothing to be seen. There are
Mm-hmm.
no characters, no events to be seen. There are just words, and the reader has to interpret it in their own way, in their own unique way.
Mm-hmm.
And that own unique way is formed by the life experience and insights of that individual reader.
Mm-hmm.
So your memory of a particular book, Ishvi, would not be the same as mine, because our
Mm-hmm.
outlook and our perspectives are shaped by our life experiences. We'll
Mm.
see the
Right.
plots and even the characters in different ways.
Right.
So
Right.
when we are taking this into context, when
Mm-hmm.
we are looking at a particular book review, we understand the mindset and the perspective and the life experience of the reader also. So if
Mm-hmm.
you read 50 book reviews, you understand 50 of your readers, and that is invaluable.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So when you're writing a plot, when you're writing a story, when you're shaping it up, when you're finishing, it's if you know the pulse of your readers, if you understand your readers, you know how your readers may react to it, or how enjoyable the
Mm-hmm.
product you have at hand would be, how agreeable or how enjoyable
Mm-hmm.
it may seem to your readers.
Mm-hmm.
So book reviews are also a very important avenue for that.
That's beautifully put, Siddharth. I think, like you said, keeping an open mind about feedback is very, very important as a writer, and I think it definitely shapes what you write next and how you write next. And I think that's beautiful. And with that, I feel like we've come to the end of our interview today. But I had so much fun talking to you, Siddharth. It was an invaluable experience for me, and also
Thank you.
it sort of gave me a lot of insight into researching and historical fiction, the genre itself. So, thank you so much for joining in. And I would like to thank our audience for joining in today. And I hope you enjoyed this conversation. I hope that you would check out both the books. Siddharth, can you show the books on the screen, please?
Absolutely. Minor Flies Volume 1 and 2. I'm not sure how clear they might
It
be.
is.
Are they
I think
visible
it's
to you?
clear. I'm also
So these are
linking
the
I'm also putting down the links for both the books with this interview, so you will be able to go to the website and definitely buy these books. Please support Siddharth here. The books are beautiful, I particularly believe, and I'm very excited to see what's the next chapter in Amina Flies, Siddharth. So thank you so much for joining in. Would you like to give in a concluding statement here?
absolutely a big thank you to all the viewers, and I hope you enjoy the book. And I really enjoy getting feedback from you also.
Hmm.
And that's how I grow as an author, on
Right.
feedback from.
That's great. So I think we'll end the live here today. Thank you, everyone, and thank you, Siddharth, again.
Thank you. Thank you so
Okay.
much.
Okay, bye.
Bye.